Welcome to the Motocross Supercross podcast. Podcast.
3, 2, 1, 0.
Motocross Supercross podcast.
Episode 165. San Diego was a big mutter. It came down like crazy. And we are going to break down this round 5 race of this Monster Energy Supercross series. I'm Adam here with Claudio. What's up, Claudio?
Let's recap some 250.
That's right. This is going to be our 250 recap. And like we said in the opening, it really came down. It was raining so hard. I think I texted you in practice. I was like, yo, like, it's happening. I couldn't believe it, though, because they took the tarp off like an hour before. And I was just like, oh, they saw this line of storms. They should have just put it back on, you know?
Well, the plan was to uncover the track that, they've been covering for the last couple of days, so it doesn't really get messed up. So the plan was to uncover it, do track walk, and then go straight to qualifiers. Which, by the way, I was a little pissed off because they did not show it or anything.
Oh, my God. Can you believe that? I watched that entire broadcast. I was like, all I just want to see is this practice. And then they ended the broadcast right before the practice. Like,
yeah,
what?
That was me too. I was like, what the hell, dude? Like, I waited 3 hours for nothing. Like, I just wasted all this time listening to you guys reminiscing on James Stewart and Ricky Carmichael and Chat Reed 20 years ago.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it definitely would have been. They could have had an early practice in there for sure. They definitely could have had an early practice. Because it was dry. It was actually dry, like, whenever they were first out there.
Yep.
There was just, like, kind of puddles between the jumps, but they got most of that water out, and it was covered. Yeah, it just seemed a little sketchy. Weather really threw them off. They were expecting it at a different time. And as soon as they pulled that tarp off, it literally rained, like, an hour later so hard. So it was super sloppy. It was super wet, and then when it stopped raining, it got super sticky, and it was just one nasty race. And
so bad.
Oh, it was cool, though. It was a great race. We saw some really good stuff happen. We saw some points leaders.
Don't push it. Don't push it as a great race. It wasn't a great race.
I got a soft spot for mutters, bro. The mutters, I just got a thing for mutters. So it always makes things really exciting, and it did make it get exciting with the points, and we're going to get into all the madness that happened with that.
Oh, yeah. Lots of changes. And I still want to mention that I want some money back for that gold pass, bro. They didn't do it,
Yeah. We should start a class action lawsuit, because if they're advertising that we get to watch the qualifying and then they don't show the qualifying, I think we have a strong case there.
I think we got something. Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's go over these qualifying times. We got Shane McElrath only did 2 laps out there. He went out, did his 2 laps, and he got the fastest qualifying time, 59.1. So they were running that first practice. They had some decent times, and it changed so much for the race. So,
well, the first and only practice.
yeah, exactly. And Dylan Ferrandis, 59.2. March Banks, who looked really good. He loved the mud, 1 minute, 0.8. AC, his teammate, 1:09. RJ in 5th. And then this Ludovic Mackler, he was 6th fastest time. So he had a good night. I honestly don't know who that is, but had a really good night. So good to see.
Yeah, I almost picked him for my fantasy, but like you just said, I wasn't really sure who he was, and kind of sucks that I didn't.
Yeah, definitely. It's cool. The mud races also give some of these other names a good chance to, make their name known. Who else did we have in this? We had Colt Nichols with the 7th fastest time, Enzo 8th fastest, Jess Pettis, Jorgensen, Carson Brown, Martin Costello's 12th, Michael Mosman 13th, Chris Blows all the way back with that 20th fast. You know what? I don't even think these practice times really matter that much anyways, just because how nasty it was. And like Shane McElrath only did 2 laps, so... we know who's going to the heats. What do you say we just jump right over to these heat races?
Yeah, I wanted to mention that one of the things that we talked about in our Look Into podcast for this race, it was one of the changes that that we would have made, and they definitely did. They did I mentioned the whoops being replaced maybe with a couple of doubles or some rollers. And they did that, and I'm kind of, suspecting that they're listening to our podcast before we even put it up.
Dude, they were some good changes too, because it was so awesome seeing people hit the finish line and the triple and stuff with how nasty it was. It was so hardcore.
A little sketchy.
So sketchy. So let's jump into this first heat race. Ferrandis got the whole shot. Jerry Robin was right behind him. Adam Cianciarulo, Martin Costello, they had really good jumps. Jerry Robin, he was running second, and then he had like kind of a big crash. He just immediately hit the jump, went sideways, and like nose down, cased the crap out of it, kind of Supermaned over the bars. It was kind of intense. It was like right from the start.
He just kind of slipped away, yeah.
Yeah, right from the start, we knew it was going to be crazy.
Yeah, Ferrandis with a very like square type of start. I don't know if you noticed that, like he just kind of like went straight, and then he like 90 degree straight the other way, 90 degree the other way.
Yeah, he had a great line coming off that gate, and that gate was nasty too. There was there's like a lake in the middle of it.
Oh yeah.
So if you weren't out front, you immediately got sprayed in the face by like gallons of water. They were like, you had to hydroplane across it just to get to the first turn,
which is a little crazy too. You know, when you have a stacked gate and you're hydroplaning, if you go down, you're gonna get hurt.
Yeah, because they still had some pretty good speed going on. And like I said, Ferrandis and a couple riders were going fast enough to hit like the triple in the finish line jump. It was just, it just blew my mind away that they were doing that.
Well, don't let our listeners, think that they were hitting it all night, because they weren't. They only hit it a couple times, and then they just rolled it.
And definitely at the beginning of the night too, before it got really sticky and stuff. Also, running up there with them, Enzo Lopez. He had a great start. He was running third the entire race, really. He had like one moment where he totally missed the turn after the finish line and just went over the top of it, and he didn't really lose any positions, but that's kind of how they ran. However they started was pretty much how they ran.
Yeah, well, Dylan Ferrandis ended up taking the win on this one, followed by Adam Cianciarulo. Enzo Lopez in third place, as you mentioned. Cameron McAdoo in fourth. Martin Costello, which is an improvement every single week. He's getting fifth. Chris Blows in sixth. Seventh for Jacob Habes. RJ Weishman for eighth. And then McClure on ninth place right there.
Yeah, so Adam Cianciarulo and Ferrandis, they were pretty much right behind each other. They had a little battle there up front, but those two totally blew away from everyone else. Over 22 seconds on Enzo, who, looked decent actually in third place.
Yeah, the Suzuki's, man, making a comeback.
In the little Race Day Live show, Jimmy Dakota said how like the Suzuki's this year were so much better than last year.
Yeah, I remember he saying that. He also said like, oh, I don't change anything in the motor or anything like that. They're great bikes. And I was like, okay.
All right. Whatever you say, bro. So let's go ahead and jump over to this 250 Heat 2 that we saw our first pile up, like kind of a big pile up on that first start, because Marchbanks got blasted in the face with that pond there. Couldn't see anything. Goes to pull his tear off before he even gets to that first turn. Runs into the back of Mitchell Harrison. They go down, and then Wageman hits them. And it was just like they were all literally blind. One's right after that puddle to the first turn.
Oh, yeah. McElrath was also involved there.
Yeah, McElrath, he was on the way inside, though. And he's just like, I didn't see exactly what happened to him, but it didn't look like it was related to their incident. But yeah, it was just four riders there right in the first corner. Yeah,
meanwhile, Nichols and RJ up front, I believe Nichols had the whole shot.
Yeah.
And RJ just made that pass on him real quick. We mentioned how excited you were that they were clearing the triple.
Yeah.
And RJ cleared the triple in that first lap, and he actually got a little gap between him and Nichols. It actually helped him out a little bit.
Yeah, like 5 seconds or something. Like it was like a big amount of time that really boosted him forward right there on the first lap.
Yeah, just right there, exactly. And McElrath and his teammate, Sean Cantrell, with a lot of problems throughout the night. Yeah, getting lapped, that's not what you want to see when you're in a factory rider.
Yeah, he was like battling for like 9th place, and he actually made like a pretty aggressive pass, obviously, because he wants to qualify to get into the main event. But McElrath, next thing you know, he's getting lapped, and then he's in 17th. So not 100% sure what happened to him, but he definitely had some problems, and that puts him through to the LCQ.
Yeah, so is Marchbanks, also another one that's going to the LCQ. Sean Cantrell, as I mentioned, going to the LCQ.
Your fantasy pick, Thomas Doe.
My fantasy pick, Thomas Doe, who didn't make it into the LCQ. Devin Harriman, though, straight in. One of our guests
a couple weeks ago.
As you like to say, friend of the show.
Exactly. He said he liked the mud, so I guess he wasn't lying.
Yeah, so there wasn't a lot more to talk about on this one. RJ with his second heat win of the year. And also with a great gate pick.
Yeah, I'm sure there was more stuff to talk about, but they didn't show it on TV, and everyone's covered in mud, so it's hard to even tell who anyone is anyways. And most of the stuff was just little like fallovers, it wasn't really anything like hardcore.
Yeah. There wasn't really much battling, or it's just more like a struggle to stay up type thing. It was the rider against the track.
But yeah, like you said, RJ looked really good there out front.
Yep, RJ with the win. Colt Nichols in second place with a very close second place. Jimmy Dakotas with third place, and he was feeling good all night. Jess Pettis also with a great race in fourth place. Carson Brown straight to the main in fifth. Michael Mosman in sixth. Mitchell Harrison in seventh. Devin Harriman, as we mentioned, in eighth. And then the ninth in last spot for Scott Champion.
That's right. So, like we said, Shane McElrath, Sean Cantrell, Garrett Marchbanks, 3 big names out of that second heat going to the LCQ.
Yeah, whenever you're a rider and you see those 3 guys going into the LCQ, you're like, wow.
Exactly. Like, there goes my chances.
Yeah, that kind of sucks. So,
yeah, let's jump into this LCQ. We had Villapoto in the booth, which was kind of cool.
Yeah.
What do you think the chances are we see Ryan Dungey in the booth next week, Minnesota? I'm going to say 100%.
And Minnesota? Yeah, definitely.
Exactly. He's always up there. There really wasn't too much to talk about in this one, just because, as we said, everyone's just having little tip overs and they don't show it, and everyone's covered in mud. It's hard to follow. But Marchbanks, he was out front, had a great start. Looked like he looked like he was having the most fun out of everybody. He was just killing it out there. Wageman and McElrath were up there too, but then Wageman fell and McElrath jumped to second, and those two pretty much ran 1-2 the entire race, or the 5 laps of the race.
Did you notice Marchbanks' pants, like his gear? It wasn't like a matching gear. He just kind of threw something on.
Yeah, he had like the blue pants with like the gray top or whatever.
He had the blue pants, and then he had like the camo that they were using jersey. Yep.
Yeah, and that's another thing that sucks too about all this, because the Military Appreciation Week, everyone's bikes look sick, the graphics look sick, and you can't even see them because they're all just caked in mud 3 seconds into the race.
Yeah, there was a lot of great printing. Like Ken Roxon had a really cool Red Bull badass helmet. He had like detailed. Muskin also has some cool graphics. Who else? The Geico Honda guys had really cool graphics. Yeah. And even like Blake Baggett, he had nice details. He had like a couple of patches with the different armed forces of the United States.
Yeah.
And
I saw Cooper Webb had like his helmet bag was like designed to look like military with like dog tags and stuff on it. Like they went all out. It was really cool. This is a race we got to go to next year. That's for sure.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like it's very unfortunate that all those little things, all the little graphics or the little touches that the riders or whoever does the printing for them or the painting for them put into wasn't able to be shown because of all the mud.
Yep. And if it doesn't make it on Instagram, then it's like it didn't happen. No one will ever see it.
Exactly.
But yeah, speaking of how sloppy it was, there was like, I had to laugh. There was like one corner in this race where there was like 7 riders down in it. There was like 7 riders stopped in the one corner. I was just like, oh yeah, this is a big mudder here. But
yeah, Marchbanks went by, McElrath went by, and then you just see everyone like just trying to like not hit. Yeah.
It's like something you expect in like when you're riding with your buddies in the mountains and everyone's just like stopping to like take a break and just like breathe. They were all just like chilling right there. So yeah, Garrett Marchbanks won this one. Shane McElrath, they both made it into the main. Jorgensen got 3rd. Von Lossberg got 4th. And just missing that qualifying position, Chris Howell and Sean Cantrell. And Sean Cantrell, he had like a really terrible start. I think he was in like last, and he caught all the way up, but that's too bad for him. A factory rider, another main, not in.
Yeah, he's run with a lot of bad luck this year, and I'm definitely expecting more from him. It was weird that the Troy Lee Designs Red Bull KTM team separated Shane McElrath and Jordan Smith since they were doing so good in the preseason. But I guess in the other side of the story, they're looking for contenders, and they probably didn't see that Sean Control would have, or even Mitchell Falk will have, what it takes to be a contender. So they had to kind of do it that way. But it would have been a great team because those two guys would have been up front all the time.
Oh, definitely. Looks like they're saving him for the East Coast. But yeah, it just sucks not making it to the main. So it's kind of a big hit for them, but good opportunity for some other riders like Jorgensen and Van Lasberg and all those other Mackler, or I'm sure I'm not saying that right, from France. So Mackler.
Mackler.
Yeah. So anyways, jumping into this main event.
Yeah, jumping into the main event, by the way, they shortened it to 10 minutes. As we know, it's usually 15 minutes plus a lap.
Yep.
This time they shortened the main event to 10 minutes plus a lap. And it could be very interesting because, if you're up front, hell yeah. But if you're in the back, not so much.
Nichols had a great jump, but he kind of faded too far to the outside, and just AC just had that perfect line, perfect angle coming right through, and he grabbed that whole shot, and it was just lights out. He looked phenomenal. But yeah, Nichols was right there, and he was followed by Jess Pettis and Jimmy Dakotas were all up there too. And then they cut to Shane McElrath picking up his bike off the ground. So terrible start for McElrath again. Mm-hmm. At least he made it in the main. It was kind of just a bad weekend for those KTM guys, but McElrath didn't give up. He did not give up, but he was in, dead last place at the beginning of this race.
Yeah, he did go down, as you mentioned. Then right after that, they showed Nichols down, and you're like, what the hell? Then they show Jimmy Dakota's down, and you're like, holy crap. And then they show Mitchell Harrison down, and you're like, what the F is happening here?
And then they show Enzo. He's stuck there. He's getting his bike going again. So yeah.
RJ was also down too, right after that.
Yeah, and he fell on the face of a jump. It took him a while to get going again.
Yeah, he fell right in between a jump, and he was down for a while, as you just mentioned, and he couldn't get up. Even with the help of the crew, that usually they're not allowed to help the riders, but this time they were like, all right, we're gonna give you a little hand. And they allowed not the pit crew, but the track crew to help out. And yeah, good thing, because RJ definitely needed some help getting that bike up and just being able to keep it up. It was kind of weird.
Yeah, it definitely was. And someone who we haven't spoken of yet in this main event, Dylan Ferrandis, he had kind of a terrible start.
Yep.
But he was able to catch up to, he moved to second place past Marchbanks and Jess Pettis. And then, this is right about the time he cased the crap out of that finish line jump.
Oh, yeah.
You could hear that panic grab just echoing through the stadium right there. And, yeah, he definitely cased the crap out of it. And Ricky was like, I think he slid off the face or something. Something so obvious. I was like, what? Yeah, he did. I bet on that.
Yeah. Marchbanks getting the pass over Ferrandis again after that mistake.
Yeah. And Marchbanks looked good. He straight up passed him, too. He looked really good all night.
Yeah. Marchbanks with a lot of good showing.
And Adam Cincerulo at this point is just pulling away on everyone. He was 11 seconds up on second place. His teammate Marchbanks.
Yeah, he got a little bit of a gap. Adam Cincerulo looked great all night. He repeated, man. He got the win. Another tough win for him. He takes the third win from this season. He also takes the points lead before the break, which is awesome. I know they've been working for that red plate, and he will be wearing it in Atlanta. Marchbanks ended up getting second, and then Jimmy Dakotas getting third and didn't even know it that he got third.
That's right.
He said that he came out of the track and he looked at his mechanic. His mechanic was super stoked, and he was like, why, dude? We got fourth again.
Yeah.
And he didn't realize that he got third after Dylan Ferrandis had a tough break when his bike broke, and he was sitting in third place when this happened.
Yep.
And right there, last lap, his bike breaks, and he fell back all the way to seventh place and fourth in the points. You could just see the frustration in his face.
Oh, yeah. I felt bad for him for sure. His bike dies on the last lap. He's about the podium.
Well, and he's on that championship hunt, with all this, not mistakes, but with all these events that happen, it gave Adam Cincerulo a pretty big gap. It's 8 points. you know?
Yep, the biggest gap
And-
that we've seen this season so far.
Yeah, exactly. So it's got to be tough. It's got to be heartbreaking, and it's got to be, yeah, it's got to be such a bad feeling to give it all and then have this happen to you. It's going to put you 12 points behind the leader. You're going into a break. Yeah, it's just a tough break. But you have Adam Cincerulo with a great finish, another win for him. And he just became the man to beat in this class, you know, with 3 wins, 3 solid wins, and a pretty big gap between him and second place.
Yeah, it definitely looked really strong out there. It does suck for Dylan Ferrandis, but it is good for him that he was able to lap all the way up to 7th place or 8th place, so he could get 7th place overall. So it's not like he did really, really bad, but yeah, it did really mess up his points standing in the championship. But just to run through these results, Garrett Marchbanks, Adam Cincerulo's teammate, got his first podium his rookie season, 2nd place. Yep. He was super pumped about it. He, like we said, he looked good all day.
Yeah.
And maybe that extra seat time in the LCQ gave him an advantage. I don't know. Maybe not. Or he just loved it.
That's a good point. That's a good point, because we see Shane McElrath, who only did two laps in the qualifiers. You know, he had a lot of problems throughout the whole night. So maybe that extra, you know, the extra seat time. He did ride with him in the LCQ as well, but yeah, great night for the Pro Circuit Kawasaki team.
Yeah, Jimmy Dakotas got 3rd place, as you mentioned, and then Shane McElrath, who we just talked about, was able to catch all the way up to 4th place. So he was definitely riding really good out there, and he was able to salvage some points. So he doesn't fall. It could have been way worse for him, but he actually had the fastest lap time out of everyone too. He had a 119.9, and AC had a 122.1. So he had over 2 seconds fast this time over anyone. So maybe if they didn't shorten the race, maybe someone like him really could have caught up.
Yeah, that's I just still can't believe the whole Dylan Ferrandis thing. But Jess Pettis with a 5th place. Martin Costello with a 6th place. Awesome for him. Dylan Ferrandis has been mentioned in 7th. Matthias Jorgensen in 8th. McAdoo in 9th. Colt Nichols, your not more red plate Nichols.
That's right.
10th place. Chris Blows in 11th. Mosman in 12th. Jacob Hayes in 13th. Carson Brown in 14th. RJ in 15th.
Yeah.
Who, like we mentioned, he ran with a lot of problems this night. Scott Champion in 16th. RJ Weichman in 17th. David Harriman in 18th. Enzo Lopez, another one who had a lot of problems in 19th. Deegan von Losberg in 20th. Ludovic McClure in 21st. And then Mitchell Harrison in 22nd.
That's right. It was not a good weekend for the Yamahas 250s and 450s, but definitely in this 250 class, they did not show up. Even someone like Jacob Hayes, who's been pretty consistent, had a terrible race. But as you said, Adam Cincerulo takes that points lead. Shane McElrath sitting in 2nd. Colt Nichols falls all the way to 3rd place in the points, with Dylan Ferrandis in 4th, RJ Hampshire 5th, Jimmy Dakota 6th, Cameron McAdoo 7th, Marchbanks sitting in 8th, Blows 9th, Jess Pettis 10. And that's your top 10 in those points right there. So they're going to be taking a couple week break. We'll see them again round 9 in Atlanta with the East-West shootout. But is there anything else we should add to this episode?
No.
All right, there it is. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at MXSX Podcast. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. Whatever it is, do it all. And we'll see you next time for the 450s. Peace.